So, in the first place, it's going to be about recognizing things, and then we're actually going to go through a book summary just because I really look forward to that. I really look forward to going through another book summary, just actually coming back to my roots and going through some books just because they are amazingly great, and I'm also actually expecting quite a lot from this book because I think it is actually a great one. I haven't just known it before, but doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. And something else that I'm trying out is just at this point in time, my screen, where I can see myself and where I can also just choose between the different screens and settings and whatnot. It is very small. It is very small so that I'm not able to see myself because I somehow feel like that it might be disturbing me. For me, it's not a really problem to just be on video. Like, I'm really comfortable with that. But maybe it is a problem for me to just see myself all the time. Maybe this is actually something that disturbs me. Maybe this is something that's kind of subconsciously fucks with me. But yeah, hello, welcome back to this episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. I'm really appreciating that you have joined me on this little journey from this video, or my whole journey, I don't know. So all the necessary links should be down in the description. Also, if you want to listen to this episode, since I'm actually then going to read the book summary, which might not be something that's necessarily really cool if you're just watching me doing that, but listening to that like it would be an audiobook actually seems, at least as I'm thinking about it, pretty cool. So check out the links in the description, but also if you're on the podcast, please also check out the links in the description and or in the show notes actually, so that you're getting everything out of this episode that you can. So yeah, in the first place, as I said, I'm willing to talk about recognizing things because we all recognize things differently and we all recognize different things. I've been talking about before a little bit, not fully, therefore I'm just willing to talk about it independently, on an independent episode. But I believe, first of all, that we all realize different things and we all recognize things, and it might be just something that's really minor and really kind of insignificant, like, okay, all the people that are having just this clothing style and whatnot, they're most of the time acting in such a way, which is actually something that's not too unimportant, might be the wrong word, but it is definitely just going to be something that you might be recognizing. That some people that are wearing the exact same clothing are acting in a similar way and or are behaving in a similar way, which is definitely something that can happen, which might be something that you have recognized. But I'm really trying to point out those things that I'm recognizing. It is truly just not very easy. It's actually pretty difficult to kind of collect those things and to save those things so that you can remind yourself on those things, so that you can actually say, okay, I have recognized that this and that happens and whatnot, which is actually the exact same thing that Seth Godin is doing with his blog, with Akimbo, his podcast, which is amazing. If there is one fucking podcast that you're listening to, it has to be fucking Akimbo. It is just so amazing. Even though it is about marketing, even though it is about just also entrepreneurial things and all those things, it doesn't, at my point of view, it's not only meant for those people. At my point of view, it's not only meant for those people that are interested in marketing, that are interested in storytelling and all those things that are somehow included in marketing. At my point of view, there are just a lot of things that a lot of people are going to be interested in. Still, we all recognize things. And at my point of view, also for oneself, whether it be about any issues actually, you just have to realize them at first so that you can actually do something about it. The problem is, or just the tricky part is to actually realize them and or recognize them and or see them, because I would argue that we are often kind of tricking ourselves into a space in our mind in which we can't really see what's going on, and that we kind of ignore those things that are actually going on, even though we somehow see them and recognize them, but we are not really realizing them, we don't really see that it is actually the reality. We don't actually see that there is something going on. We don't actually see that, for example, we are having mental problems. We are having some cognitive disorders, that makes our lives just really bad and way worse than it actually could be. And this is just something that we have to realize. This is something that we have to see, recognize, and then also realize. So think about that. And I really believe that then asking questions once again talking about questions here. I really believe the questions can be a pretty good way to do that, to realize things, to just also see things, not only realizing them, but also seeing them. Because if you ask yourself a lot of questions, you're gonna just put yourself into space where it is, at my point of view, somehow subconscious, Because if you ask yourself, why am I just trying to, to do this? And then you're gonna answer, well, I'm trying to do this because of this and that. And then you're gonna ask again, why am I trying to be this and that? Or why am I just willing to be remembered as this and that? And then ask again and ask again and ask again until you're actually just seeing the root of the whole thing. Whether it be about something that's positive, for example, me just recording now. Why am I recording? Why am I trying to just make something out of it? Why? And so on and so on and so on. But also with things that might not be necessarily pretty good. Why am I anxious? Why am I feared of those people? Why am I feared in those situations or in those scenarios? Why is there a problem for me when I'm doing this and that? And then actually going to the root and seeing why you're actually doing those things, and then realizing them, and or actually you're realizing them through asking yourself questions. Because if you ask yourself so many questions until you actually come to the point where you have to say like, okay, this is the whole beginning of my whole problem, of the whole issue, then you have realized it. You've realized that there's something going on. You've realized that there is maybe something wrong or maybe something really good. But yeah, so I really believe the questions are something that's pretty important. But also I would say knowledge and getting different perspectives on different things, which might be able to gain by Googling, by reading books, by listening to podcasts, by various different things. I believe it just has to be something like information, I would say, and knowledge and different perspectives from different people to just see how they are seeing it and how they are feeling about those things, how they think this is the reason for why you're feeling the way, and then just think about it and re-evaluating it and then seeing if it actually makes sense or if it is actually the case for you and or not. So yeah, this has been my little rant about realizing things. So try to realize things and try to see things. Try to see them and then realize them so that you can actually do something about it. Because at my point of view, it's just before you can actually start doing something, you have to know that there's something going on. And before you actually know, you have to see them, and then you have to acknowledge them and kind of make yourself seeing them in such a way that you would also be doing something about it, which I would consider actually being recognizing and or actually realizing, but I don't know, like it might be something it might be something different, for somebody. So yeah, as you can see on the left side of the screen, here is the book, and the book is called Super Thinking by Gabriel Weinberg and Lauren McCann. I kind of feel like that I'm knowing Gabriel Weinberg, but I'm really not sure about that. And I'm, by the way, on the paulminus.com site. I think it's .com. I'm never ever sure. Yeah, it's .com. The paulminus.com site. It's an amazing site about book summaries, but also the blog posts are pretty good there. I think, I'm not quite sure. I don't know if the blog posts are actually the summaries, but as far as I know, there are just some dedicated blog posts as well. So, no matter where you are in life, super thinking is designed to help jumpstart your super thinking journey and think and or act effectively whenever you face a difficult decision or try to understand a complex situation. So, who is this book for? It's actually the exact same text. About the author, Gabriel Weinberg, and is the CEO and founder of DuckDuckGo, which is amazing. I've been using DuckDuckGo for a bit, just because I think when you're using Opera, it is kind of the main search engine that you're using. But it is a pretty cool search engine since it's actually relatively private. At least they claim it is private, and they also say that I also think that it just, for me at least, it feels more private and more like secure than when I would be using Google. But I don't know. Like, it could just be something that I kind of feel about it, but it's actually not the case and whatnot. So it's definitely something very subjective. The internet privacy company that empowers users to seamlessly take control over their personal information online. He co-authored Traction and Super Thinking before DuckDuckGo. He founded other internet-related companies as well. Lauren McCann is a statistician, I guess, or statistician and researcher. She spent nearly a decade in the pharmaceutical industry, where she designed and analyzed clinical trials and published numerous articles in medical journals such as the New England Journal of Medicine. She holds a PhD in operations research and a BS in mathematics, both from MIT. The thing is, isn't there more than one MIT? Or is it like the Michigan Institute of Technology or Massachusetts Institute of Technology? Because I don't know, because I kind of feel like there's also an MIT in Munich, but I could be wrong. I'm definitely wrong, or probably wrong. In the summary, the world's greatest problem solvers, forecasters, and decision makers all rely on a set of frameworks and shortcuts that help them cut through complexity and separate good ideas from bad ones. They They are called mental models, and the following summary explores 130 plus of them. So are you ready? And I am definitely ready, and I'm really looking forward to that, since decision making is actually something that I'm struggling with. Decision making is actually one of the things that I would say that I'm not really good at. I'm always just trying to not make decisions, especially when it's about really difficult things, when it is about things that might be bothering me, when it is about things that really can be life-changing, I guess. Then I really do not want to make the decision, and I really don't want to let somebody else make the decision, and or just putting myself into such a space that one decision is just going to be their decision. And for example, when I'm having to do some maths homework, then I'm always going to just use some random generator, because we always have to choose a number and then do it, or an exercise and then do it. And I'm always just doing it via some Google number generator, because I do not want to think about it. I do not want to decide. Even though I'm always just trying to not take the easy ones. And just because, I don't know, like I do not want to have it easy often in life. I'm actually often subconsciously even, which is something that I've realized just over the course of my life, that I'm often really trying to not make my life very easy, especially in the last year and a half, I guess, or the last 2 years, where I have just been starting the podcast, where I've been just starting to go through so many different informational pieces, where I've been just doing so many different things. And I don't know why I'm doing that, but I kind of, I'm not really finding that it is bad, or just a bad thing to do. But yeah, let's go through the book summary. Mental models. So what is a mental model, and why should we care? Mental models are recurring concepts that you can use to quickly create a mental picture of a situation, which becomes a model that you can later apply in similar situations. Every discipline, like physics, has its own set of mental models that people in the field learn through coursework, mentorship, and first-hand experience. However, there is a smallest set of mental models that are useful for people like you and me in general day-to-day decision-making, problem-solving, and truth-seeking. In short, mental models are shortcuts to higher level thinking. If you can understand the relevant mental models for a situation, then you can bypass lower level thinking and immediately jump to a higher level thinking. For this to happen, though, you must apply them at the right time in the right context. Superthinking is a toolbox that systematically lists, classifies, and explains all the important mental models across the major disciplines. Reading the summary and maybe later the full book is just the first step. Learning to successfully apply mental models doesn't happen overnight. You must develop your powers through repeated practice. In the next 9 chapters, let's explore the 130 plus major mental models out of the 300 included in this book. So it's definitely gonna make a difference if you're reading the whole book, or if you're reading the full book, or if you actually read that book, compared to actually only going through the summary. The summary is good, because I know the summaries from the paulminus.com site. They are really good. They really are. Sometimes they are long, but the thing is, they are good just because they are long and detailed and all those things. So just maybe you're gonna buy the whole book, or maybe you're going to buy the book and read it completely, and or maybe just this summary is enough for you to understand the whole concept and to just go along with it. The first one is being wrong less. To avoid mental traps, you must think more objectively. Try arguing from first principles, a group of self-evident assumptions that make up the foundation on which our conclusions rest. Getting to the root causes, I know, it reminds you of something, doesn't it? And seeking out the third story, the story that a third impartial observer would recount. Realize that your intuitive interpretations of the world can often be wrong due to availability bias, which is when information recently made available to you distort your objective view of reality. Fundamental attribution error, for example, when you think someone is mean rather than thinking they are just having a bad day. And optimistic probability bias, being too optimistic about the probability of success, which I, by the way, think is not necessarily a bad thing. Even of course, in some situations it's gonna be bad, but I really believe that in most situations just being positive and optimistic is just something really good and maybe even essential. I just know people. In terms of, I've been just listening to podcasts, I guess, I'm not quite sure. I'm consuming so many different things. There's so many different things that are in my head. I often don't know where it is coming from. The thing is, a lot of people, a lot might be overdone, but I've heard people just talking about positivity and but more optimism than positivity. That optimism is actually something that's important and maybe even necessary if you're trying to just do something. Because of course, if you're gonna be pessimistic, and of course if you're gonna think like, well, it's gonna be bad and it's not gonna be good for the rest of my life and something. I don't know if this is a good position to just be in if you're trying to be successful, if you're trying to just do something, if you're trying to build something that's worthwhile. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say so. At least at my point of view, it's probably not the best space to be in. It's probably not the best position to be in to just do something that's great. But I don't know, like different people, different opinions. Opinions. Use Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is most likely to be true, and Henlon's razor, never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by carelessness. Then test your theories by de-risking to be wrong less. You need to be testing your assumptions in the real world, avoiding premature optimization, tweaking or perfecting something too early. Something that I'm actually also thinking about. Are we tweaking things? Are we changing things too early? Because in the first place, it might be good. But after we have changed it just because we thought like, okay, I haven't had any successes in the last 2 weeks, maybe I have to change it up. I don't know. Doesn't necessarily have to be the case. And therefore, just trying it out for longer might be a pretty good solution for that. Attempt to think gray. The truth is not black or white, but somewhere in between a shade of gray. In an effort to consistently avoid confirmation bias, interpreting new information in a biased way to confirm pre-existing beliefs, actively seek out other perspectives by including the devil's advocate position, taking up an opposing side of an argument, even if it is one you don't agree with, which is something that I'm also trying to do when I'm looking something that's related to health and related to just nutrition, related to eating and all those things. I am really trying to then also have a look at the other sides of the whole spectrum, because when I'm believing that, okay, I should be eating white rice because it's good, but then I'm actually looking it up in terms of actually looking for some negative things about white rice, for example, then I'm gonna find things. You're also going to see or find things if you're searching for it. But if you search for white rice is good, right? Then, of course, you're going to find more articles related to white rice being good rather than white rice being bad. In theory, of course. But just actually actively searching for just the other side, searching for the negative thing or the opposite thing is definitely a very, 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 very important thing, at my point of view, at least. Consider the adage, you are what you eat. You need to take in a variety of foods to be a healthy person. Likewise, taking in a variety of perspectives will help you become a super thinker. Probably. Because I'm often also seeing in terms of actually now thinking that a lot of people have different perspectives, and actually having a lot of different perspectives on the exact same thing is truly making a difference. It truly is. And this might be also one of the reasons why talking to people is such an incredibly good thing, because you can talk to people and you can just gain their perspective and you can just see how they are feeling about something and how they are thinking about something and how they feel about something. It's cool. It is great, and I think it is also very valuable because you're gonna gain their perspectives and you're gonna just see different perspectives, some perspectives that you might not be seeing on your own, and you actually also wouldn't be able to see on your own unless you kind of just think about the exact same thing for just a numerous amount of time. But I don't know who is doing that. I'm not doing that. Maybe unfortunately, maybe fortunately, but I guess this has been the first point. And I honestly have to say, even though I went through it so quickly, I do hope that you've got a lot of it. And I've actually been reading it quite nice, to be honest, to actually pat my back. But the second thing is going to be about anything that can go wrong will go wrong. It's I know where they're heading. It's definitely not something that's pessimistic or something, but it's just the truth. It's probably gonna not work out in the first place, but you're gonna learn from those failures. You're gonna learn from those mistakes that you are gonna make, and you're gonna learn from them, and then you're gonna make them better, and then you're gonna fucking succeed. In the end, after failing 250 times, the 251st time is probably gonna be cool, and it's probably gonna be good. Hopefully, at least. Maybe not. Maybe it is, but who knows? Who really knows? It's actually really good. It really is good. It's a long one, and it's going to be linked down in the description. So if you want to check it out, please check it out and read just more of it if you want to. But this is going to be the end of the episode, and I wish you the best health, of happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself when you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, which means that you're just going to be a nice person, and then you're also going to be remembered as a nice person, which can be the truth. In theory, it is. Practically, not so much, because there are so many people on this planet. There are just going to be some people that hate you out of nowhere, basically, just because you are you, just because they are them, just because it's the human's nature, I guess, that we just don't like everyone. Unfortunately, really, unfortunately. 3 other questions that I hope that you're going to ask yourself are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? And these 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, since a lot of people started out with their business with actually fixing something that really pissed them off. Therefore, maybe this is something that happens to you as well. Maybe this is something that just is working for you as well. But I'm going to see you the next time. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to the podcast if you've liked this episode and if I was able to just give you some value, I guess. And then I'm going to see you the next time. I at least hope. Bye.